House rules provide a clear behavioral expectations for the child with ADHD. It's visual. Some of us are verbal learners. Some of us are visual. Some of us have to practice an item before it becomes real. So this helps you with the visual, and this is called an external prompt. So the house rules set and clearly clarify the behavior boundaries. They emphasize the importance of specific parental expectations, not just for the kids, but maybe for all of us. Maintain the awareness of the specific parental expectations, and they make sure that there is a consensus in the family about the house rules. Ah, right. What does that mean? That's a red flag, I'm sure, as we read that one. So that means that you have to bring in the child's aspect to the house rules before you start developing your house rules. So let's work through that. Let me put up the next slide, all the points, and then we're going to go through the worksheet first and the points on the slide at the same time. So make sure your worksheet and the slide are up and going and ready to go. All right. In the worksheet on page 19, it says there's part A. List everything you would like to have as a house rule. For example, be kind to one another, shoes off the door, kiss mom and dad goodnight, place dirty clothes in the laundry room, no foul language, everything. And maybe you need to hold a family meeting to brainstorm a list of potential house rules, okay? So list them on a sheet. If this sheet's not big enough on the worksheet, make a copy and do a couple of them. That's fine. I don't care if there are 30 there. Just list everything. If you got a long list, write it out. But now we have to prioritize the list. Let's stay with the worksheet on page 19. Then we'll come back to the slide. Now you're going to prioritize that major big list you made. And you're going to prioritize it in two categories. And you're going to list them, not only prioritizing, list them in order of importance. First list, 1 through 7, are the guidelines to live by in the family. Now this is just guidelines to live by in the family. And many families already have that as a natural. And that comes more natural for some people to do this than others. It certainly wasn't natural for me. I wish it was, but it wasn't. So like be kind to one another. The family attends religious services together on Saturday or Sunday, depending on your religion. And we have dinner together 2 nights a week, and we kiss each other goodnight. So general house rules for everybody to follow. And we post them. We're gonna make that list. We're gonna copy that list. We're gonna laminate that list. We're gonna post it. This is just general house rules, just like classroom rules. Now, the other list that I want you to pull out of your master list of A is rules that are non-negotiable. And these are items that would make mom or dad unhappy if they were applied, but if they were not happening, it would lessen the stress within the home. For instance, you don't want them to have food in their room. But if they take food in the room, it increases stress. For you, it's a non-negotiable rule. So no food in the room would create more harmony in the house and less yakking. No hitting of any kind. Now hitting, if applied, would be a problem. But if they don't apply that no hitting, that would be great. They're not hitting their brother or sister or sibling. Obscene words. No obscene rules. So we don't want them doing the item. That is the rule. That would be the house rule. So we want to, in that second list, write down all things that would be non-negotiable. That if applied in a positive way by not doing them, would lessen the stress within the home. So, good. Are we there? Are we there together? Okay, let's go to the next page of the house rules. Now, we're going to, at item C, make a sign of the top 3 guidelines to live by and post them so everyone can see them. Post them on the refrigerator and everything. They're general. They're not going to hurt even a teen to see. D, make a sign of the top 3 non-negotiable house rules from the second list from above. Okay, just because you've chosen 3 non-negotiable rules, and I really only believe in 3. I mean, I know that some people like up to 5, but I really, for my son, and because of the ODD and the lack of flexibility, 3 was enough. So if you look at page 21, just move your eyes over to the right, you're going to see that my house rules in my home when my children were school age were the following. No food in your room. All food is to be eaten in this kitchen or designated area. Shoes. Take your shoes off at the door, and no foul words in the house or on the property. These are the non-negotiable 3 house rules that I had when my kids were younger. And the reason I had them were for variations of my individual needs of my children, because they really did not have the control to remember not to take food in the room, and I had lots of wood floors, and I had a rock driveway, and they were scarring the floors with their tennis shoes, so I had to create a rule of shoes off at the door in order to save my floors and keep my stress down, and also to curb the usage of obscene words in the house. That's sometimes very difficult for ADHD kids. If they hear it in the playground, they think it's perfectly fine to bring in the door, and it's not. They don't have that monitor or that barometer to prevent that. Okay, so those were the house rules. Now, item E, you want to create a list of consequences to the violations of any of the non-negotiable house rules. So very simply, you want that list to be extremely easy. If they violate one of the non-negotiable house rules, there's got to be a cost for that response. But make it something that they can live with. Don't make it so high and hefty that it's hard for you to follow through and it creates inconsistency. So as the number E, page 20 says, create a list of consequences to violations of any of the non-negotiable house rules. Mine were 25 cents was charged for each food violation or forgetting to take the shoes off at the door. I literally just noted it and it came off their allowance. It didn't mean that I didn't remind them not to do that. They just clearly knew that there was going to be a cost for that. And 15 minutes earlier to bed each time a foul word was heard by mom or dad. So you build that in. Now, let's say that they followed the house rules. You might add a bonus, that they get an extra 30 minutes added to bedtime so they could stay up 30 minutes longer because they followed the house rules for the day. And if maybe they follow the house rules for 3 out of 5 days, you may have an extra bonus where they get to pick out the family movie on Friday night. So you can build this into being a positive thing. Then you're going to create the sign of the consequences for the house rules in the above list, and you're going to post that also. Now, if it's a teen, you might have to post it behind the kitchen cabinet door and not on the front. But the more visual things are, the more likely they're going to use that external prompt to remind them that this is what they have to do. Now, expect that this isn't going to work perfectly in the beginning. There's a lot of trial and error developing house rules. So let's quickly now go over the slide and then go over a few rules of creating house rules to help you get through this. So you're going to make the family meeting to establish the potential house rules. You're going to select 3, I think, of the rules from the list to be the non-negotiable ones. And as parents, you retain the right to determine the final list. State the rules in very clear, objective language. Say, put your dishes in the dishwasher instead of using the words be responsible. So be very specific. Put your dishes in the dishwasher. No food in the room. Shoes off at the door. Establish rewards and punishments for the compliance. Post the rules so everybody can see them and easily read. And remember to explain the rules to the child. Do not just post the rules. You've got to include the child always to be a part of the routine. All right. Now, each week you might want to target a house rule for emphasis and highlight the circled house rule. Maybe each night you want to review some examples of instances in which your child complied or violated the house rule. And it's very important that you try to find the way to work these house rules because it does really, really, really help you to develop a more calm environment in the home. It takes the yakking out of it. If everybody knew about the rules ahead of time and it's violated, there's not an anger about the violation. They may get upset with themselves, but they're not going to yell at you as much because they all agreed upon this ahead of time. So very good. There's where we are with some of the proactive strategies.